Hi guys, it's Miss Cashin, and while we are doing remote learning, I get to do word study, which I'm very excited about because, as most of you know, or especially Cornell kids know, grammar is one of my favorite subjects, so I'm really excited to be doing this with the entire second grade on YouTube. Before you get started, for my videos, you're just going to need your ELA packet and a pencil. And sometimes you're going to need an extra piece of paper for dictation, but today you will not need that because we have plenty of blank space on the second page. And at the beginning of these videos, I'm always going to tell you when you should pause the video if you need time for when you need time to do actual work or to do the writing along with me. And I think that's it. So right now you should be looking at the page that says 318 subjects and predicates. You should be looking at the page that says Word Study Wednesday 318. And that'll kind of give you an overview. But before we start that, something that we always do in Cornell, or we do most of the time in Cornell, is a word of the day. So I wanted to start with that because I think it'd be fun to start adding to an imaginary word wall with a word of the day. Okay, so I have a little song. It's the Addams Family theme song. And Cornell friends know that already. It goes, word of the day, word of the day, word of the day, word of the day, word of the day. So today's word of the day is precarious. Precarious is a word that means not securely held in position or about to fall, or it can mean uncertain. So you could say her future was precarious because her future was uncertain, or you could say, oh, the ladder leaning against that building looks precarious. This is how you spell it. So that's a word of the day, and I will be asking a question about it tomorrow, so see if you can keep that locked in your brain. So, again, you should be looking at the page that says Word Study Wednesday. It's the first real page in the whole packet, and it is an overview of what we're going to go over today, which is subjects and predicates. And this is review for pretty much all of us, but this is something that's still been tricky for all of the second graders, and so it's what we're going to talk about today. So I have a lot of little songs that Cornell friends already know, and BC Eastern and UMass, hello. You guys are going to get to know them too. So I have a little rhyme that I remember to figure out the difference between the subject and a predicate in a sentence. Subjects and predicates are both parts of speech. That means that they can identify different things within a sentence. So the subject, it answers who or what. So when you think subject, you want to go in your brain, okay, who or what? And the predicate is the other part. The predicate says what they do or something true. Your turn. The predicate says what they do or something true. So there are a couple different examples I have in the packet. The first one I have is the one I always use, which is Miss Cashin drinks a lot of coffee. Who is the sentence about? Miss Cashin. What does she do? She drinks coffee. So if I were to identify the subject, I'd ask myself, okay, subject is who or what? Who is it about? Miss Cashin. It's not really about the coffee. It's about Miss Cashin. And what is she doing? She's drinking. Another example, and this one's a little bit trickier, is New York City is huge. So I know it's pretty easy to find out the subject, and usually the subject is the easy part because it's just what the entire sentence is informing you of. So I'm going to say, okay, what's the subject? The subject is who or what? Okay, the sentence is about New York City, so I know New York City must be the subject. But then I look at the second part and it says is huge. And that's a little bit trickier. So I'm going to remind myself of the rhyme for predicate. It says what they do or something true. Now, New York City isn't really doing anything in this sentence, but it is being huge. So I know that the predicate in this sentence is huge. Because what is New York City? What is true about New York City? It is huge. So that's something where that second little part of the rhyme, the something true, can kind of help you out. Verbs, so your predicate is always going to be a verb. And verbs are usually, we think about them as action words, but that's not always true. They can be things that you are. For example, you could say, I am 8, and am would be the predicate in that sentence because what are you doing or what is something true about you? You are 8. Another example could be, I have short hair, and that you're not really doing anything in that sentence, but something true about you is that you have short hair. Okay, go ahead and turn to the subject and predicate and turn the page over. So now you should be looking at this page right here, and you should have your pencil out. So if you don't have it out, you can go grab it now. Just pause me. So this is just kind of a quick review of what we just talked about, which is who or what the sentence is about. And the example says, the woman with the green hat ate lunch. And this is where it gets slightly tricky. So on all of our tests so far, we've only been talking about simple subjects and simple predicates. When you are asked to find the simple subject and simple predicate, your answer is only going to have one word for the subject and one word for the predicate, unless the verb is in the future tense, then it would be two, but you don't really need to worry about that. So when it's a simple subject or a predicate, you're only looking for one word. But when it just asks you for subject and predicate, you can include all the different words that talk about the subject along with the main subject. So for example, you can see that sentence, the woman with the green hat ate lunch. Now, woman is the main subject of that entire sentence, but all of this part is underlined, the woman with the green hat, because all of it is telling me more and more and more about that subject. It's a woman, yes, but more specifically, it's the woman with the green hat. That's why that entire part is underlined. So unless the question asks you for the simple subject or simple predicate, you should underline everything that is actually telling you more about the subject or the predicate. So then the second part asks for the predicate, and you're circling the predicate, and I see they underlined it, but you know better, you should actually circle it. They circled ate lunch. Now the action here is eating, but eating lunch tells me something a little bit more specific about the predicate. So the verb, and the verb is the same as the action word, which is the same thing as the predicate. So I know ate lunch should be circled because lunch tells me a little bit more about the verb ate. Okay, so let's get started. This is where you should have your pencil out. And again, this is a little bit different from what we're doing because we're going to be circling and underlining more than one word. So the main thing that guides you is you should first find the main subject, the big thing that the sentence is about, then the main thing that it's doing, and then you can include all the other little words that tell you more specific things about each of those actions and words. Okay, so let's go to number one, and you should pause me before I give the answer. So you should pause this video while you're working on it. Okay? Okay. Number one, 4 turtles swam over the beach. Okay, well, I know that this whole thing is about turtles. So I know that that's the main subject, but it didn't just ask me to find the simple subject and simple predicate. So like I said, I'm going to underline all the other words that explain specifically more things about the subject and predicate. So I'm going to underline 4 turtles because it actually tells me exactly how many turtles. So underline 4 turtles, and then what did they do? Because remember, the predicate is something true or what they do. What did they do? They swam over the beach. So you should circle swam over the beach. Number 2 says, the children built a sandcastle. And pause it here. Try to figure out the subject and predicate. Okay, so the subject answers who the sentence is about. Who is it about? The children. What did they do? They built a sandcastle. So the words built a sandcastle should be circled, and the children should be underlined. Number 3, Ben played Scrabble with Alex. Okay, this is a little tricky because I see 2 different names here, but I gotta ask myself, who is the sentence mostly about? Well, it's mostly about Ben because it's telling us exactly what he's doing. So I'm going to go ahead and underline Ben because Ben is the main subject of the whole thing in the sentence. And then I'm going to circle played Scrabble with Alex because the verb is played. But more specifically, what did Ben actually do? Well, he played Scrabble with Alex. So I'm going to circle played Scrabble with Alex. Number 4, everyone in the stadium watched the game. Pause the video. Okay, Now, the first thing I have to figure out is what is the sentence mostly about? Well, it's mostly about everyone, but then I know that specifying everyone in the stadium is actually a part of the subject, so I'm going to underline everyone in the stadium because that just gives me a little bit more specific, like everyone where, everyone in the stadium. Then I'm going to circle watch the game because what did they do? They watched the game. And remember, watched is the verb, but watch the game is the whole predicate because today we're not finding simple predicates. Okay, next one is the microwave beeped. Take a second. Pause the video. All right, what is the sentence about? It's about the microwave. What did the microwave do? It beeped. So I'm going to underline the microwave and circle beeped. This is pretty simple because it is just a simple predicate. There's nothing else to kind of modify it. So that one's pretty easy for me. Number 6, Mr. Scott is a very thoughtful person. Pause the video. Of course, Mr. Scott wrote this. Who is it about? Who or what is it about? It's about Mr. Scott. I'm going to underline that. What is true about Mr. Scott? He is a very thoughtful person. So I'm going to go circle that whole thing. Now, this is a little bit tricky because remember, the predicate isn't always something you do. It can be something true. So the true thing about Mr. Scott is that he is a very thoughtful person. I'm going to circle that whole thing. Number 7, the penguin's feathers were white. Pause the video. Okay, now what is it about? It's about feathers, and more specifically, the penguin's feathers. So we're going to underline the penguin's feathers. What is something true or what they do? Well, they were white, so I'm going to circle the words were and white. That's the predicate. Number 8, the moon shines down on the water. Okay. So who or what is the sentence about? It's not about a person, but it is about the moon. That answers what the sentence is about. You'll notice that all of these subjects are nouns. You are actually never going to have a subject that's not a noun. So if you're getting confused, remembering that it has to be a person, place, thing, idea, or animal, that can help you out. So I'm going to go ahead and underline the moon. What did the moon do? It shined down on the water. Shine is the verb, but the entire predicate is shine down on the water. All right, number 9, pause the video. The car's back tire is flat. Now, what is this whole thing about? Well, it's about a tire, and more specifically, the car's back tire. So I'm going to underline that whole part, and I'm going to circle is flat. Number 10, Jalen, Hezekiah, and Alex went fishing. Pause the video. I'm going to underline my subject. Now, this one's a little bit tricky because this actually is about 3 different people. That's okay. I'm going to underline all of them. This sentence is about all of them. One of them is I can't possibly figure out which one is the most important. So all 3 of them, all 3 names are the subject. So underline those names. What did they do? They went fishing. So the predicate is went fishing, not just went, even though that's our main verb, but went fishing because that tells us specifically what they did. Number 11, pause the video. Okay. What is this sentence about or who? It's about orange. What is orange doing or being, or what is something true about orange? Well, it is my favorite color. So I'm going to underline orange and circle is my favorite color. Number 12, pause the video. The giant oak tree is over 100 years old. Now this one has a lot of details in it. I know the main subject is going to be tree, but there's a couple other words that tell me about the subject. So I'm going to underline the giant oak tree because it tells me specifically what tree it is. And then I'm going to circle is over 100 years old because that tells me something true about the oak tree. Okay, so we should be done now with the first page of subjects and predicates. You should still have your pencil and be looking at the second page, which is right next door. Okay, so just to give you a quick review, the subject answers, the subject says who or what, and the predicate says what they do or something true, and that's something you can lock in your brain for next time. Quick pause to remember the word of the day. Word of the day is precarious, and precarious means not securely in position or uncertain. Like, her house was precarious because it was built with sticks. All right, you should be on the second page right now. Number 1 says the directions say add a predicate to each sentence below. So I'm going to expect that you pause after every one, and then you can compare your predicates to mine and see if yours also makes sense. Okay, so if I'm adding a predicate, I'm adding what they do or something true. So I got to make sure that it makes sense with the rest of the sentence. Number 1, the police officer, pause the video. Okay, I added raced the speeding car. I could have just added drove, but I wanted to make it more interesting, so I added a more complicated predicate. Remember, the predicate isn't just the verb, it's the whole thing that tells you about the verb. All right, number 2, the boat captain. Pause the video. Okay, I added the predicate is old because that tells me something true about the boat captain. Number 3, the rusty old car. Pause the video. I added drives slowly because that tells me something true and what it did about the rusty old car. Number 4, the garden in our backyard. Pause the video. I could say a couple different things about this, but I decided to add is dying because that's what's happening in the garden in my yard. And that tells me something true about the garden in the backyard, which is the subject. Number 5, the lady with the green dress. Pause the video. And I added has blue eyes. That's not something she's doing, but it's something true. And I know a predicate can be either. All right. Now, if we move on to the bottom, the directions say to add a subject to each sentence below. Number 6, okay, it says blank was singing a cheerful song. So I have to think, what could sing? Who or what could sing a cheerful song? I'm going to add, pause the video. I added Mr. Scott because that would tell me who or what the sentence was about. Number 7, blank made a creaking sound. Pause the video. I added my rocking chair because that tells me it wouldn't really make sense to have a person make a creaking sound. And that tells me what the sentence is about. Number 8, blank was old and dusty. Pause the video. Think what would make sense. I added the classroom closet. That's not just one word, but that's okay because it gives me a couple more details about the main subject, which is the closet. The classroom closet was old and dusty. Number 9, blank wouldn't eat her dinner. Pause the video. I added my angry old cat. I could have just said the cat, but I thought it was more interesting to add a more complicated subject and, kind of give the reader a visual of my cranky old cat. All right, number 10, blank is the best restaurant in town. Pause the video. I added Stash's Pizza because that's what our favorite place to order from is the best restaurant in town. That answers the question, who or what is the sentence mostly about? All right, cool. So before you are all the way done, because right now you should have all of these filled in, underlined and circled, and all of these done and filled in the blanks. You should have been pausing and unpausing my video so I didn't actually give away all of the answers. We are going to do a couple of the dictation sentences. And when we're doing dictation, just as on a test, I'm going to read the sentence 3 times. We'll start with 1 today, and we'll add in a couple other ones tomorrow. Maybe we'll try for 2 if we're feeling crazy. Okay, so right now there should be a blank spot below number 10, and you can just go ahead and write a 1 on your paper, just like this. And you should be listening really carefully to the words that I'm saying, and I'm going to read it 3 times, same as your teacher would normally. All right, ready? Pencil ready. Okay. I know you saw the craziest thing at the sea, and it was scary. Write down as much as you can. All right, I'm going to say it again a little bit slower this time, so you have a little more time to catch it because it has 14 words. You're probably not quite done. I know you saw the craziest thing at the sea, and it was scary. All right. Even if you're done, you should not actually be done and not just be watching the video. You should be checking your words as I read it this third time to double check and make sure you didn't miss any words. I know you saw the craziest thing at the sea, and it was scary. Take a second to make any last minute changes you need, and make sure that you're double checking those tricky homophones. All right, pause the video if you need more time. And this is the way, I really hope it flips when I record it. This is what it should look like. I know, and that word I know is spelled with a K because it's not like yes or no. It's talking about something I know in my brain. You saw the craziest, and I know I dropped the Y and add I-E-S-T, thing in the sea, that's S-E-A because we're talking about water and not something you see with your eyes, and it was scary. All right, take a second to double check your spelling. Awesome. Okay, just to do a quick review, today we did some dictation. We did a word of the day, which was precarious, and that means unstable or uncertain. And we also talked about subject and predicate. Remember, the subject says who or what. It says who or what. And the predicate says what they do or something true. What they do or something true. And today we talked about more complicated subjects and predicates, but if the question ever asked you for a simple subject or predicate, it's just going to be one word. Today we are talking about more detailed subjects and predicates, but don't get tricked for next time. If you are asked for a simple one, it's only going to be one word. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow for word study with Miss Cashin. I hope you have an awesome night. Bye.